met
2
each
extra
other,
weeks,
and
I was like,
you can give up your Monday to come in and do this thing.
Okay.
So.
My wife's a psychologist and she was an adjunct professor.
Yeah, Zephyr's out of college, out of
And
high
she
school
found
now,
that
she's
particularly
all the
during the
baseball
pandemic,
and basketball and track,
how
all the
attitude
things.
changed. People just got a little lazy. or
Who's that?
just
Sandy? Yeah.
Pajamas, you know.
Yeah.
And they asked for, you know, such a, and say, well, I got you know, I don't know. Well, if I had known that would affect my grade, I would have.
It was like you would have like, an older person was in, you know, like.
And it was COVID, so that I didn't have to stress.
I couldn't get the attention, I was like.
My only stint on any board.
Which one was that?
Hey, right, you will have 4 things.
Oh, I was on the rec board until I got kicked off for the F-bombs that I didn't want.
That's still like, you need to learn.
It was Zooming.
But
I was like,
everybody was just like, no, I'm pretty sure like drinks and tall. Nobody
nobody has ever
do
heard
my
me
best
F-bomb
to
and
get them all
cancel, and I've been
done.
doing it for
But I
16
got
years. There's definitely.
everyone else got it. Like, whatever, I'll let it go. But it was like, I feel like it was a different philosophy about like work and work ethic. But yeah.
Dylan, we're good?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I would like to welcome everybody to the City of Idaho Springs, June 8th, 2026 work session. And we have five items on the work session, and we're going to kick it off with CPR awareness training. Thank you very, very much for coming in and bringing friends.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having us. My name is Clark Church. I'm the clinical education captain with Big Creek EMS. With me is Keegan Till and Madison Paul, who are 2 of our field training officers. We just wanted to give the most accessible, easiest to digest CPR information we could to you all today. We're doing a big outreach campaign this year, but in particular this summer, right when like most people are out and about doing things, to try to get as many folks in our community trained in CPR as possible. It does require certification to know how, right? So we don't have to do a 2 to 4 hour long certification class. And we can really distill down the most important information. That being said, folks are interested in certification. We're going to be trying to hold those at the rec center every month starting this month. So keep an eye out if that's something you're interested in, having more depth of knowledge that will be available just at the cost of the class. We're not paying anything off of that. Today, we're really going to focus on good quality chest compressions, right? So unfortunately, I'm going to make you guys have to talk to me a little bit today. When do we do CPR?
Somebody's not breathing.
Great, that's one piece. What else?
Can't find the heartbeat.
Good, can't find a heartbeat. So first thing we do, even if you don't mind helping demonstrate over here while I'm talking, is I need to check to see if somebody's responsive, right? I look over, something doesn't look right, I'm gonna check for responsiveness.
Go ahead, hear me?
Yeah, loud voice, hey, can you hear me? Even from a distance as you're walking up to somebody, maybe it's dark, maybe you're outside, whatever, right? See if they respond. If not, Keegan was nudging this person, right? Tap, tap, tap. See if they respond to touch, because sometimes people are just really asleep, right? They don't respond to touch. Next thing we're gonna try to do is find a pulse on this person, right? Multiple locations, you have your carotid pulse in your neck, right? Just underneath your jawline, just to the side of your trachea, right? It's this windpipe right here. You'll move right over into a crook in your neck. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Right? You also have a pulse in your wrist. You can try to feel there, just right to the in from this bone called your radius is your radial pulse, right? So this person's unresponsive, they don't have a pulse, and they're not breathing or they're not breathing normally, right? A lot of times something that can trip us up even is something called an agonal gasp. So our brain still has just enough oxygen to know that I should be breathing, but my heart's not beating. It sounds like a snore or a big gasp, but it looks weird and it sounds weird, right? So if they're not breathing regularly, they're unresponsive, they don't have a pulse. First thing you're gonna do is call 911 and then begin chest compressions, okay? So when we're doing chest compressions, we're gonna push hard and fast in the center of the chest. So on an adult, Center of the chest, we're looking for the sternal plate here is a round bone. It's actually a flat bone that goes all the way down from your collarbones down here to what's called the xiphoid process. We're looking for the middle of the sternal plate. It's in between the nipple line for most men, but center of the chest for most adults. You're gonna take the heel of one hand, move over here, perhaps we can see the best.
You sit around the end of the table.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then I-
Just to show hey positioning, and I'm gonna get on the ground so you guys can actually see. So I'm gonna take the heel of one hand, right?
That table may not have.
I'm not gonna push
a
on
lot
it.
of strength, just so
Yeah,
just so
yeah,
you know.
no, I'll
These
just show you
tables-
hand
These
position.
tables do, that one doesn't.
Heel of one hand, right, goes into the center of the breastbone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my fingers, wrap, and I'm gonna lean all my weight on the heel of my hand, right? So if I'm down on the ground, I'm gonna be leaned forward, okay? And the goal here is to be able to apply good and even force. Don't wanna be forward over here, wanna be right center, okay? Push harder than you think you should. Most common mistakes in CPR are gonna be inadequate depth, right? I'm not pushing hard enough. As I've spoken to multiple survivors throughout the year, none of them cared if they had a broken rib. Promise, is the least of their worries, right? That can happen and that's okay. You are not going to hurt this person, promise you. If you begin doing CPR on somebody that perhaps doesn't need it, I promise they'll tell you and then you can stop, right? Never be afraid to start, right? If you think you should be doing CPR, do it, they'll let you know. If you think maybe you have a pulse, you probably don't. You do or you don't, right? So if you think you do, you don't. Start CPR. I promise they'll tell you this time, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys, while I talk, so I don't get out of breath. Keegan's gonna show us how to start doing chest compressions. What we're really advocating for in the simplest sense is compression only CPR, right? Ventilations are important, right? Providing a breath to this person can be very important, but if that is a barrier to care, which it can be if this is a stranger, don't worry about it. Just do chest compressions, all right? So Keegan right here is going at about, I don't know, somewhere between 100 and 120, right? I know that because he's got green lights on his mannequin, and I've heard this cadence a million times in my life. And another thing that he's doing is he's coming all the way up. When we do chest compressions, right, we're compressing the heart to squeeze blood out of the heart, to circulate blood. We have residual oxygen in the blood, right? Especially if we just went in a cardiac arrest. And I need to circulate that blood to my brain, to keep my brain and my organs healthy. So when I push down, I'm pressing blood out of the heart. And when I lift up, I'm allowing the heart to refill, okay? But if I get kind of lazy and I start slouching and I don't come up all the way, then my heart doesn't have enough blood in it. And I'm not circulating as much as possible. So it's really a two-step process. It's compress, come back up, okay? It's a good way to think about it. Also have a metronome playing for you guys while we're practicing so that you can really get a feel what this feels like. If we're doing compression only CPR, this is it, you did it. Do this to help rest, right? If this is somebody that you know or that you're comfortable giving a breath to, you would take your right hand in Keegan's case and pinch their nose, tilt their chin back, and then he's gonna put his mouth over their mouth and give a breath. And start doing compressions. You would do that in a cycle of 30 compressions to 2 breaths, right? That's a lot to remember if you're really stressed out. Again, compressions are the most important thing. We have residual oxygen, especially if I just watched this happen. They've got oxygen, help will arrive, and we'll take care of that oxygen debt, okay? So really compressions and efficacious compressions are gonna be the most important thing. So after that data download, I wanna just practice that, okay? So I think I counted, I don't remember how many of us, but I have 6 mannequins. We could all split up and then partner up behind a mannequin. We can get a little bit of practice in. On these mannequins, Maddie, Keegan, and I are gonna be walking around. They have lights in the shoulders that'll help indicate the efficacy of our compressions. And we will walk around and help give direction.
partner.
And these are perfect to start. That is wonderful. I want us all to do a minute of compression, so hang tight, let's not tire ourselves out yet. It's hard, I promise.
It is hard.
So,
Should be kind of uplifting.
alrighty. All right, let's all kneel down, hands over a mannequin. I'm gonna start a timer here, and we're gonna go for 1 minute. Ready, set, go. Good. So that I've been on stage. Perfect. You're doing perfect. Your batteries are out, you're doing good. Unfortunately, you're making.
You got other calls.
That's a neat help. You guys are doing great.
Fast.
All right, halfway there. Great job, guys. So as you're starting to feel, this is not easy, right? Generally, we consider doing 2 minutes of compressions and then we'll switch with somebody else, right? Or just until you're so tired that you think you're not being effective anymore. If that happens, then you'd ask somebody close to you, if there's anyone else around, to help take over for you. Just make sure you communicate this need before you stand up. All right, that's a minute. Great job. That was awesome. That was the fundamentals of chest compressions, right? So let's swap out whoever wasn't just doing it. If you could swap out if you're on the list.
That was much heavier than that.
That was my memory. That was very
All righty, y'all ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
You wanna do this one so you can see the green?
You were doing great, but the lights helped. Just a little bit faster.
You like that?
Good, that's perfect.
Stop, yeah.
Good job, guys.
Stop this thing does.
Yeah, if you compress.
Or they hit the ground.
Yeah, this is hard.
2 minutes is hard. Great job, guys. You two are doing great.
Yeah, right.
Jeremy, I forgot empty.
I think we've got a rhythm.
I'm probably still certified for like a month or so.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
The light's fading.
Don't
do it to the lights.
All right, guys, that's a minute. Wonderful. So, had we just witnessed somebody go into cardiac arrest and we determined this person needs aid, right? We would call 911. And at the simplest, we would do that to help arise, right? Any compressions are better than no compressions, is my opinion, right? So anything that can be done, understanding this is a long time, it's gonna get hard, and that's okay, right? Any effort that's provided is going to be important to give this person the opportunity to survive, right? Numbers are low, right, nationwide, we're looking at 10% survival in cardiac arrest. This is one of the only ways to get that to go up, right? We're very fortunate here to have seen 20% as our average over the last 6 years or so. And that's due a lot actually because of some of the people here, Jeremy and Quick Fire Authority have been awesome in helping those numbers come up, as have all of our law enforcement officers who carry EDs, right? So really, really important part of our system here, or a lot of first response individuals. After that, it's CPR, as early as we can do it. I've brought infant mannequins too. We're gonna talk about what to do for CPR in an infant, and then we're gonna talk about AEDs real quick, okay? All right. So, with an infant, providing ventilation is gonna be much more important, right? In the child or the infant. Oftentimes, the reason for cardiac arrest is not cardiac in nature. It's gonna be respiratory, okay? So you wanna be able to provide the respiratory support that this individual would have needed. So if it's just you and you're by yourself, we're gonna think 30-2 for our compression to ventilation ratio. How to give compressions, there's a lot of ways. You pick the way that feels good for you that you can do, right? There's different size people of different strength and different size babies, right? So how your hands are positioned and how you do that compression just depends on you, right? So the 3 ways, there's a thumb encircling, where I will hold, I'll place both of my thumbs in the same place in the center of the sternum, and I'll do compressions this way, okay, on a flat surface. I'm just holding it so you guys can see. Another way is with 2 fingers on the center of the chest for a very small infant. Or if this is a large infant or a smaller person, you can use the heel of one hand as well. That is acceptable. Whatever seems right to you in that moment is the right answer, okay? The most important thing is provide compressions. Criteria doesn't change, right? not responsive, cooing, crying, babbling, whatever a baby might be doing in the moment. Doesn't have a pulse, and we're looking for pulses. And an infant, the easiest place is in the arm, we call it the brachial artery. Just place your 2 fingers on the inside of the arm and feel, right? If you don't feel anything, you could be pushing too hard, let up a little bit. I'd be nervous too. So that's all right, let up, see if I feel anything. If I don't, am I breathing normally? No. The answer to both of those is no. We begin our chest compressions, right? Ventilations are provided the same way. The only difference for an infant is that I might have to place my mouth around both their nose and their mouth if they're very small, right? So I would give my compressions, 30 of them, and I would give 2 breaths, breath, breath. I want you to think 2 little lungs, right? That's enough. 1 big mouthful. You don't need a whole adult breath in a baby, right? Just a little mouthful of air is plenty. If you can't remember that, just do the compressions, right? The most important thing in most emergency situations is that we do something, right? So just remember what you can remember and do that. We're gonna practice here a couple rounds of 30 to 2 on the infants, okay? Just to get some hands on. And then we'll talk about AEDs and then I'll get out of y'all's hair. So, wonderful. All these babies have lights in the diapers. If you don't mind, just clicking the on button so we can see what's going on.
Oh, there's the on button.
Just like all babies have, right? Alrighty. As soon as y'all are ready, I want us to try this 30 to 2. Just don't actually put your mouth on these or breathe into them because they're not disposables. So 3, 2, 1. Little slower. You doing good? Little slower.
What's yelling me?
Easy to go fast, especially when you're a little ones. Good job, guys. Breath. Let's try 30 compressions. Right.
30 compressions.
Good. Great. 20 seconds left. You guys are doing great.
The rest is too high or too low.
All right, that's a minute. Thank you. All right, we'll swap out.
I'm gonna count.
All righty, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Good. You guys are doing great. Good, great.
Our babies will live.
They will. Yeah, that thing wakes up, I'm getting out of here. You can? Yes. You most certainly can.
Which animal are you looking at?
Alrighty, guys, that's a minute. Yes.
I must my dog.
For your cat.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Cats,
My babies are frightened.
for big
Yeah.
dogs, you actually push on their
Most
spine.
of bones are just going in there.
And for cats, I think you might have.
Chickens are out of luck though.
Chickens are out.
I would.
I was, yes, I was about to say, I got chickens too, I'll try. Alright, folks.
Yeah, I think you're going all the way to the door.
Just don't like that.
Your brain is.
Right.
So the last thing that we're gonna talk about are AEDs. And I have a bunch of trainers here so you guys can practice placing the pads on. AEDs are great, right, when accessible. we have an app available in the county. It's an AED registry that we put information into. It's called Pulse Point AED. There's 2 pulse points. There's a yellow one and a red one. If you want to download this, it's the yellow one, right? And our goal is to have all of the AEDs that are available for public use in the county registered into that, so that if something happens, you can pull it up and you can see. We have a fair amount. I'm sure the ones that we know of, right? I'm sure there are more out there. So if you ever see one, it's kind of fun to pull it up and see if it's in there. And if not, you can register that AED. Early access to defibrillation is important, right? It's one of the big reasons that there was such a push to have AED law enforcement and fire department vehicles as well. Law enforcement gets to everything first, right? They're there, they're faster, they're better than us driving, they're gonna be there first. And we've seen.
Always.
The
They all
importance.
wanna be paramedics.
So that's been so important, right? And then public access to AEDs is important too, right? Rec Center has AEDs, the Hot Springs has AEDs.
Library does,
With it?
library
The
does.
library does, yeah, exactly, right? So we do have them out in the communities and the more the merrier, right? If there's anywhere to put one or anybody has one lying around, let us know. We'd be happy to find a home for it. These CR2s or trainer, this one's similar to oftentimes what we see in our community. There's plenty of different kinds, but fundamentally they're all the same. Many AEDs turn on when you open the lid, right? Like this one is trying to. I'm gonna turn it off because it's loud. But the first step of using an AED is turn it on, right? You either lift the lid and push the on button, or you lift the lid and it just turns on, right? Anytime you're doing CPR, if there's an AED nearby, we want to put that on, okay? If getting the AED means nobody's doing CPR for 3 minutes, don't do that. Do CPR. Let somebody come with an AED. But if you can divide and conquer, wonderful, right? Or if there's one close by, like if there was one right out here, we would go grab that AED really quick, all right? AEDs are great because they're very bossy. They tell you exactly what to do and when to do it. That's my favorite part, right? These stickers here have pictures on them that I've looked at every single time. Because when it's time to put them on, I'm like, I don't remember where they go. So I look at the pictures too. One of the pads is going to go on the right side of an adult's chest, just underneath the collarbone. This other pad is going to go on the left side, either this anterior axilla line is what it's called. It's kind of in between the armpit and the front side here, or it's going to wrap around just under the pectoral muscle. Just follow the pictures. Whatever that picture looks like, slap that pad on. The AED will then analyze, and it'll tell you stand back, analyzing, and you will stand back and let it do its thing. And it'll either tell you to shock or not shock. Not every person in cardiac arrest needs a shock, right? There's different types of cardiac arrest, but if they do, boy, is it helpful if they get one. So this will tell you what to do, and it'll say, push the flashing button, and we'll push the button, and then you'll go right back into CPR. All AEDs also have metronomes in them, which are really nice. So it'll say begin CPR, and then it'll start looking for you. And you just follow the beat when you're doing your compressions, okay? So to show you how these pads go on, place one on this guy, and then we'll have you guys get down with your mannequins and try yourself. On an infant or a small child, you might have to put them on the center of the chest and the center of the back here. The big thing is that the pads don't touch. So if you put them on like this adult picture and the pads are touching, place them the other way, right? Big thing, they don't touch. Our goal here is to deliver a current of electricity from pad to pad, passing through the center of the heart to try to fix whatever abnormal electrical rhythms going on, right? So if AED is available, place one on the right side here, just about in the middle of that collarbone and just below the collarbone, right? So collarbone goes from about here to here. I'm gonna go in the middle, and I'm just not gonna place it on the bone, right? The second pad can be placed like this picture, has it straight down, right here, right about where the pectoral muscle is. Some pictures, if you ever see them, it's okay. They might be placed this way, a little bit sideways, right? Both ways are appropriate. Just follow the diagram. It's the easiest thing to do. And then the AED will start bouncing you around, right? Any questions about AEDs? Cool. Widely available. Anyone can use them. It's okay. You don't have to be formally trained. Although, you know, so down by your mannequins, you'll have a blue bag with AEDs in them. It's gonna get real loud in here, so sorry. Just want you all to open those up turn them on, and just follow the directions, okay? You have to hold it up to the ear, because there's 6 of them going off at once, that's okay. But we'll walk around and give you all a hand if you need them.
Adult patient. If the patient is a child, press the child button. Press the child button. Remove clothing from the patient's chest. Remove clothing. Adult. Remove fabric and apply pads onto the child. Bare skin on the child button. The patient. If the patient is a child, remove clothing on the child. Apply pads and apply pads on the patient's bare skin. Remove pads. Apply pads on the adult bare skin. Press the patient is a child. Press the child button. Apply pads. Do not touch the patient. Remove pads as shown in the do not touch the patient. Remove pads on the apply pads. Do not touch the patient. Everyone has adult.
Just make sure nobody's touching them.
Do not
I will make it.
That was way simpler than the last.
Most of the ones we have, they're very.
I don't know if it's broken.
They, like, well, so on the trainers, on like
Because I'm gonna hold that issue is that we never have to.
A lot of them, like these ones, will flash red. When we're operating, so we have a check marker next on. So a lot of the checks like.
Let's say that.
So like if we had one, we would wanna check that every year, once a month.
Yeah, but it's easy, it's like some of them have a little light on them. So from a glance, you can say. These ones here are keeping that. So it starts making noise.
Charge.
They have internal batteries.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. Good news is every 3 years, bad news is.
Tell me about that.
Right.
Touch the patient, analyzing part rhythm.
Good job.
20. Do not touch the patient, analyzing part rhythm. 20. Shock.
But the checks are going.
Do not touch the patient. 30.
He's at the library.
Yeah. So the cool thing with the EV is after a couple minutes, it'll advise you what to do. The newer EVs will do it while you're living the impressions. And it might network stop. The older EDs will stop giving minutes and analyze.
I'm not.
It'll let you know. That's the nice thing about them, is it's really talking about floating.
And by the way, like I did,
Exactly
I
what
spoke
to do
last week.
You're not.
Yeah. It'll be the same price for.
And we could, so, like, we said to get, but that was the great thing about having my best friend. Now we're all.
You guys don't mind, I'm just tracking a little bit of information
Yeah.
about people we've seen. Appreciate it.
If the patient is a child, press the child button firmly on skin.
I'm pretty confident.
Remove clothing from the patient. Do not touch. Press pads firmly on skin.
Fortunately for me, it's not even I can screw.
Hardly obvious. Do not touch the patient. Do not touch the patient. Analyze the heart rhythm.
Chicken?
Do not touch the patient.
I'll go out there. I'll figure it out. I feel like
Everyone
my
clear.
chicken is small.
9 to 5.
Shot delivered. Begin CPR.
If that was untrue.
Thirty, give two breath.
It's like all of a sudden filled up. Mel?
Yeah, I don't know. Babies can do it all. I know, right? I'm so new. I never really noticed. We did, like, this was the, it's probably the only reason the curfew was changing. It's like we're trying to finish. You know, like you're told.
Yeah.
And you can feel it too, that's what she said.
Where you
I went from first.
And Rachel was just like,
I've never actually.
I heard, Mary was saying here about that, she said it was boiling.
Thank you.
It
Thanks a
does.
lot. Sounds good. I'm glad to-
They look like an eyebrow.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna go again alongside. For your- And I'm taking- I'm getting rid of it. I said, "That's what I was thinking." Oh, she has- she takes time.
What's her deal?
I don't know, she just said, oh, I thought. you were gonna
Sure.
Certainly do muscle too.
Yeah, I might be reaching out to you guys.
Hey,
Thank you, sir.
before we move to the next item, did anybody have any questions?
No, but thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Was very helpful.
Yeah, I left some of these, hands-on CPR fact sheets for anybody that wants to take one of these home to have. And then just sending out a quick roster of anybody that participated. We are trying to get like 50% of the community with some kind of document training. So I just need a little bit of info so I can put that in our records.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks again.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hey, next up, we've got, Clear Creek Schools.
There's a bunch of people in the lobby.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Hi. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
I'm here with,
So she's not coming to be with us.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I get, I'm gonna order. Oh, thank you.
Well, it's good to have you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Does everybody know everyone?
Just
Say, so this is Marcy King, who's on the board with me.
Marcy might be the only one, that not everybody had met. I think, everybody else is, we had at least a couple different
Well,
contacts.
just in case, I'm Jessica North. And then this is Wesley Paxton, our new superintendent. Again, thank you for the invitation to be here. And while he's kind of passing things out, I want to tell you that we just are so grateful for this community. And that we learned a lot during the 2021 bond and additional projects. The biggest thing being listening. So one of the biggest things that we've done as a board, because we have had some big changes to our board since 2021, in case you didn't know that too, is just to engage more voices and to listen to those voices more. So we've got the DAC, which is, the state requires us to have that. That's the District Accountability Committee. And that's made up of parents, community members. We're always looking for a business member to serve on that. We've added a long-range planning committee So similar to the CAT that you were on after the bond passed. But this is a preemptive, like, what is the state of all of our things? And so that group comes back to the board and says, hey, here are all the things that are in need, facilities wise. So we've got half a dozen folks
Oh, yeah.
that are, I mean, they were meeting twice a month. So, just to help inform us kind of the state of things. Then, we just recently added our enrollment task force, which is like, how do we better engage our families internally, but also the community externally, and more specifically, those potential students that would really benefit from a Clear Creek education. So again, listening to more voices, engaging more of the community to try to better prepare for asks like this one.
Right.
Can I ask a question? Just because, so right now, the status of some of the schools in Evergreen, which I would imagine are your highest competitors and definitely a draw. Which one of those are you actively trying, which neighborhoods are you actively
So-
trying to draw from?
King Murphy has seen the biggest success, and I don't know what the,
We have a lot of students in our or preschool program, preschool program at King Murphy right now. And we're trying to attract other students through the other grade levels to come to King Murphy. Fallonsville with small school size is someplace that they would really want their student involved in, plus with the EL curriculum, expeditionary learning curriculum, allows students to explore the nature around the school and then how they connect that with their learning. A lot of learning that happens in elementary schools about animals and things like that. And so it provides a real great opportunity. So we're seeing a number of students, parents enrolling their kid at King Murphy for that reason.
But
I wanna say it was like a net 20.
okay,
We pulled
right, and that's pretty decent.
I think that's
number.
what you were asking.
Kind of, and I'm just curious, so in Jeffco, is PK free?
No.
So is that a concern of yours
Well,
that,
No, it's universal preschool.
There is for four-year-olds.
I know that Rocky Mountain Academy is very close to King Murphy, and that one does have you have to pay for the PK there, it's semi.
And that's it, it
Or
depends.
those kids are younger than 4 because they get their funding from their charter school.
Mhm.
And so they get the same funding that schools get.
Well, I mean, charter schools are different than public schools in their funding. I worked at RMAE for 9
Okay.
years, so I'm pretty aware. I mean, as the enrollment secretary, I want to help you guys grab those kids. But I just don't know how you can do it because your demographic, your area, your terrain is so much different than it is just straight up and down the corridor.
Right.
But thanks, I'm glad that you guys have acquired some kids from there. That's awesome.
We're also working to encourage our high school students who are going into their senior year to enroll in our outdoor rec and tech program, which is a semester program where students learn earn certification programs, learn about careers outside of the traditional learning experience. So it's a career and technical education, kind of like the old vocational education. But this is more through the lens of how can you work with how to help with whitewater rescue and avalanche rescue and work with their EMT services in the area and learn all the different about careers that are available in this community, which is an amazing location that a lot of schools down the hill come up here to use for temporary based purposes, but we can use for a semester to give these kids a chance to kind of say, hey, I don't know what I want to do when I graduate. Maybe this will be something to help me figure things out. And so we're starting to see a number of students who are interested in that program. So our hope is to entice them into our high school program their senior year to participate in that. And it was a rich program here and back in the day that many of our students who graduated for the years from Clear Creek High School participated. For some reason down the road, it was cut. So we're bringing it back and encouraging kids from outside the district to apply for it.
Or I would add that the online program that we're implementing is trying to capture kids that might do like a hybrid schedule or maybe like a winter athlete that, you know, spends all their time on the mountain, but they still need an education, so it could maybe work for them. Did you go to DU? We went to DU, and one of their business classes did a proposal for us. They studied our school and they gave us ideas, and that was one of the big takeaways was that we need to offer something to capture those winter athletes, you know, like Steamboat and Vail, and they all have these programs we're working on that too.
So we're really trying to pivot to the needs of our student population and reach out to our homeschool families to see what we can do to provide them a chance to have brick and mortar building when they need it. If they can do homeschooling, otherwise they can do that, because you start moving to the high school level, it's important to have those lab sciences, which is hard to duplicate at home. And also some extracurricular activities, whether it's sports or performing arts, which is best to have in a group setting, which is closer to home, which we can provide at the high school. So we're looking at that population of folks too, to bring them into our community.
Thanks.
Do you have an idea of how many people live in Clear Creek from school?
We hear it's a large number of folks, but we're not sure if they're blending the mixture of the Clear Creek Evergreen with the Evergreen, Jefferson County Evergreen. I know where they meet on their Thursday mornings, and so I've been tasked with reaching out to them once they start back up later this summer to meet with those families and see what we can do to entice them to come look at Clear Creek High School or even our elementary schools to see what we have to offer and see if maybe that help them out. I know that some folks have already started to transition their kids to public school again because as they get older, it gets a little more challenging to provide those opportunities.
Challenging of a very good
Fair enough. Thank you for saying that. Being very kind. So, yeah, so we're just trying to figure out how we can connect with those families. And so we have some parents who currently have their kids in our district who are going to serve as ambassadors for us. And we're going to meet with them in their pod kind of environment to see how we can support their child through our schools district, whether it's online or in brick and mortar.
I wonder, and I obviously, we don't have a lot of time, I would totally talk with you guys at another time. But I wonder if there's a way to offer them a homeschooling classroom so that we could still, and I say we, because this, I go right back to like wanting that money.
Right.
We can, capture some of the per pupil money that comes in if we're offering something in a brick and mortar school.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something that you guys
It's on our
already thought.
radar.
Yeah.
So we're
Cool.
working with our counselors to see how we can support those students' learning. So having a time where they can come in, maybe connect with the teachers, we have built with the experts in the content to get support if they're doing online coursework, possibly to meet and kind of connect with each other. And really to help them start kind of have that foot in the door to connect with the other students. Because once they do that, they go, wow, these are great kids. I want to play sports with them. Do performing arts, take an art class, take a science class, maybe go to homecoming, maybe go to prom. We want them to be part of that, and then they start making friends and they go, hey, I kind of like this. We know parents have choices, and so we're gonna make sure we continue to let them have those choices. But if we can have them choose to go to Clear Creek High School, that benefits us and benefits them too at the same time. I'm guessing I didn't.
Yeah, how much
stop at
time do we
6,
have?
right?
Yeah.
Not much.
You
got a big topic.
honesty. Saw you were gonna say something.
Oh, I just think that online too captures, because what I've seen in truancy court here in the county is, oh, well, now I'm just gonna go online. And that has happened on nearly every case where there's a truancy issue that has come to court. So I think also being like, oh, well, we can offer you an online option is a big huge, because before that, they enroll in some other online school, or they just
And then you do
homeschool, or
They don't
they
do
do something
anything.
where they're leaving the district entirely.
Yeah.
And that's like how most of the cases over the past 5 years are closed on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's like another population group that maybe captures. So that was.
I kind of think the mountains is like an island, and we want the kids to stay on the island and not leave the island, go someplace else. So how do we keep them on the island, take care of our kids? Because we want them to be part of our community, we want them to be active, we want to appreciate. And eventually they're gonna be voters, and if they went to our school system, hopefully they would support our school system down the road because, hey, they had a great experience. And so we're trying to figure out how to bring them in that educational experience for helping them prepare for their future, but also as future citizens and how they can be like, yeah, I was a digger one time. And so these are all part of our aspects. And part of ballot measure will help us also because we know that career technical education is a really important part for our community. And how do we want to make sure as many kids who want to participate can participate. So I'm going to jump in. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. I might go through an abbreviated process because of the time we have available, but feel free to stop, say, hey, hold on a second, I have a question about that. So Wes Paxton, super proud superintendent of Clear Creek School District. I'm joined here with Marcy and Jessica from the Board of Education, and they're here to also provide any answers to questions you may have. So I'm going to skip over a little bit of our mission and so forth. I think most folks know that we're here to inspire learners in a safe and challenging academic environment, provide them an opportunity to be successful in life afterwards. The next picture is a picture of graduation. I'm so proud. We attended graduation a couple weeks ago at Clear Creek High School indoors. We had 42 proud kids walk across that stage. And two of them, which one of them got the Daniels Fund, the other one got the Butcher Fund, and the one who got the Daniels Fund is going to the Air Force Academy, which is an amazing thing to acknowledge for our schools. The other students, and it's getting the Butcher Fund. I don't think we had a Butcher Fund since the 80s, if I'm correct.
Wow.
87.
And
So
then
that's-
only the second one.
Yeah, so that's quite an accomplishment. So now it tells us, wait a minute, we've got kids who qualify for that. We need to take advantage of that opportunity more. So more Daniels Fund, more Bachelor scholarships, because it shows that we have the kids that can qualify and show their potential in the process. So looking forward to that. Real quickly about our math success, 60 percentile growth in math, K-12. 50 percentile growth is 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. Our students grow over a year's time in years in a classroom. So that tells you how much they're growing in mathematics. And this is K through 12. Reading, 61 percentile growth, and language usage is 63 percentile growth. So pretty darn impressive growth there. Those we had out of the last 10 or out of the last 11 years, 10 times, we have had 90 higher than the state average. Last year, we had 93.5% graduation rate. So we, as a super small district, had a huge number of our kids graduate, which is a huge accomplishment because every one of those kids who doesn't walk is a big hit to our graduation rate. So that means almost every kid who comes as a freshman walks out graduating as a senior. That's quite an impressive tradition that we have in our school district and accomplishment of the staff at high school. We represent all the schools, the 4 schools in our district, even Georgetown Community School. And whatever we ask for is for our voters to approve, we would pass along to Georgetown Community School because it's important for us to have them be a successful school for a thriving community, you need a thriving school. So there's some challenges for us. As we know, our enrollment is declining as it is across the state of Colorado. I will tell you that the decline in enrollment in this community is a factor of birth rates. In Evergreen, which I just left being supervising the Evergreen articulation area, their high school is going down between 60 and 80 students per year. So it's happening to across the mountain area. Our Conifer High School is going down about 20 to 30 students a year. So it's happening throughout the mountain area. It's not just our area that's declining enrollment. And across Colorado, I think there's only 1 or 2 districts that has increased in enrollment right now. So it's something that's impacting all of us with that. The other thing is that, we had a $1.5 billion shortfall in the state budget. Fortunately, K-12 education was left kind of hold harmless this year, but we don't expect that to be the case moving forward. You're going to see other ballot measures about that, but we have to prepare ourselves because it's becoming more of a local, involvement to fund our schools, and that's why we're going to be going to voters saying we need to take care of our schools, our staff, our needs because that's really important to us. So funding reductions is an issue. Inflation, especially recently, that's been a real challenge for us. And so hopefully that comes to an end, but we have to prepare for it. It's been pretty significant and it's also impacting us how we run our schools because cost of things to do things is costing us more and more every year. Facility expense, we have about $20 million in deferred maintenance that was identified by the Long Range Planning Committee. They did an extensive search about what the needs are. We have an engineer company comes in, does their little estimate because when we go to the voters, we want to make sure we're asking for what we need. And they say, yes, you have about $20 million in deferred maintenance, which the new high school is not so new anymore when it's over 20 years old. And so it needs some things to be updated. Right now we're doing LED lighting to reduce the cost of energy, but right now it costs us about $200,000 a year to pay for our utilities in the district right now. That's a huge chunk of our budget. We want to try to reduce that as much as possible so we can put those funds towards other purposes like compensation. And then competitive compensation. We went to a 4-day work week. Our teachers appreciate that. I know I appreciate having a 4-day work week, but the thing is that for parity of cost of living, we have a challenge. When you have other districts surrounding us paying more for staff, we're struggling. And so we really need some money to come in and help us recruit and retain high quality staff. So school funding, many of you know that there are many ways to do school funding. The first thing is, and the colors don't match the cup on the right-hand side, so let me kind of clarify that a little bit there. We need to change the colors. From our last presentation, we realized that, so we'll get that done. But you have the old original copy, so I apologize. So first we have the local share, which is the blue on the cup bottom, yellow on the blocks up here. And that's your property taxes that pay just how much you collect in normal taxes from the area. At one time, the line was going crazy and they're still our largest taxpayer, but they were paying a majority of that. And so,
They were paying more and we were sending it back to the state.
right, so our cup was overflowing at the time. We're not at that case anymore. So the state has to backfill it. And so you have the state share, which is the kind of a royal blue color there. And so that fills our cup, but then it doesn't provide us what we need to move beyond it. So we have a mill levy overrides that have been voter approved. Those always in the district, the state doesn't take that away from us. That always stays with us. So when you approve those monies stay with us. They don't go anywhere else. And so what we're asked to do is more for less. And that's a real challenge for us because to do the things I'm going to talk a little bit more about here, we need the funds to do so. So you can see what the per pupil funding is there and where we rank on there. We do a little better than some of our school districts, but we also do less than our other school districts. The big thing is the economy of scale. It's a real challenge for us with support since we're a small district. Every adult that works with our staff and our students costs a bit more, and so it's a challenge. So we really need to make sure that we take care of our people so that they can take care of our students, make sure they have those exceptional opportunities. You can see our salary scales are there. I apologize, the Gilpin 2A and B. The A is what it would traditionally be, but the B is they do $50,000 for 3 years before they do a step up to the fourth step. And so that's why there's that confusion there. But you see where we stand as far as our district with our surrounding districts. And we can do a little better at compensating our staff, especially when we're looking at bringing our staff live down the hill or they want to move into this community. I always growing up with belief that you want a thriving community, be able to have a police officer, a firefighter, and a teacher live in your community. So we need to make sure that we hopefully we get the compensation they need so they can invest in our community too. Talked about capital repairs. You can see there the $20 million shortfall in the needs. You can see the breakdown. Of course, Carlson, beautiful new school remodel. Thank you for the voters for passing a bond that remodeled that school. So it has less money that needs to be put into the updating of that one. Georgetown a little less too because they were also updated during the last bond. But King Murphy and Clear Creek Middle and High School need a lot of updating, and so you see them being a larger portion of that. And a lot of stuff is that stuff you see behind the walls or in the basement, like the boilers and things like that need to be updated because they're coming to that time. King Murphy was built in the 80s, high school was built in the early 2000s, and they need to be replaced because they're running all the time. And so those are things that we're looking at taking care of. You can kind of see a little bit of our capital funding. The funding that goes into our capital projects, we have about 1.7 left over from our previous bond that we're going through. The transportation maintenance facility is going to use $1 million of that, so it leaves about 700,000 left over for that work, and it does 700,000 will never cover $20 million worth of work to be done. Right now we're transferring from our general budget to our capital budget or operation budget about 100,000. That's because we had the bond passed. Once this bond is finished, which is next year or so, that money's gonna go back up because we spend a lot more than that per year, about $300,000 to $400,000 a year to services of our buildings. And so a long-term challenge is how are we gonna cover that $20 million? Question comes up, what about the old Carlson? That should be able to solve your financial needs. Well, we're under contract right now for $4 million. I know they're working with you to get their final drawings approved. They're also working to get grant money to build the new apartments they're going to build there to replace the old school building. The way the state statute works is that if you sell a school building, that money has to go back into capital. It cannot go for compensation of staff. It can't go for operation of the district. It has to go for to go back into maintain your current building. So $20 million again, $4 million is still not going to cover our needs for that $4 million. So the long range planning is that they recommend that we address those $20 million. And I know that recently we had the bond passed, so I want just to acknowledge that we're not looking at a bond this year, we're looking at something new, and that's what we're going to next. There's 4 options we can go towards to bring in funding. There's a general purpose mills, and we've maxed those out. We cannot go any higher right now. There's special purpose, which there's 3 to 4 options we could do that, which is transportation, food service, technology, and transportation. And so, our capital improvement, sorry, that in there. So that would be an interesting ballot when you have those separate things on there. So the other one's a bond, which you passed a few years ago to remodel Carlson and do some improvements to our schools. So we're looking for, the next page is a debt-free levy. We're pulling $4 million for that. What that would allow us to do is to address two things. One is the capital improvements for our district to give us money going forward for forever. And then also allow us to put together a pathway for compensation for our staff. So we could say that we have this money set aside now. The voters said, we really want to take care of our staff. We would have money moving forward to take care of that for a long range compensation. Any questions? By the way, I don't want to embarrass you, but hopefully everybody got the postcard. Hopefully you went online, filled out that survey, helped us understand what the needs of the community are. We really appreciate if you were the folks here who did that too. It helps the Board of Education make the decision on whether we go for a ballot measure. So here are the things we're really focusing on. How do we keep great educators? How do we recruit great educators? So we need the funding for compensation because we're in a competitive market. When they can make more money someplace else like down the hill, folks, it makes it challenging for us to hire quality folks. Strengthen our community, so making sure that our staff can afford to live in the community. We're fortunate to have the development of the Field House apartments. We have 4 apartments set aside for staff to live in. Right now, at this point, 3 of our 4 units are being rented out or are under contract to be leased and rented out. So that's exciting, and that rent is reduced, so that helps them out. But for the long range, we need to be able to have those folks invest in our community, buy a property, invest, raise their family in our community so that they can be greater contributors to our success. Capital improvement, making sure that we plan ahead, make sure that we have funding we need for our capital improvement for our people, and then safe schools, warm schools, for dry schools for us to teach in. And then I'm going to add one in here, career technical education. This last year, we had 30 students apply to take courses at Warren Tech, and they range from aeronautics program to CNA program to auto mechanics to building trades to all sorts of certification programs that Warren Tech provides. And those 30 students are juniors and seniors. So we have about 40 so students each class. So that tells you the percentage. A large percent of our kids want to take courses through Warren Tech. Budgetary wise, our board is very kind this year to get funding for those 30 kids to go, but we can't sustain that every year going forward. That is a cost to that. And we really do need to make sure these opportunities are available because especially, let's say a student goes into plumbing or electrician. If you live up here and you've ever tried to hire an electrician or a plumber these days, that's darn good money they're making for that work. And they should make that good money. And they can live in our community off that income. And so getting that certification while they're in high school, so when they go for their internship or their apprentice program, and they show up, I already have a certificate to do this work, that gives them a leg up on their competition. And so we really want these kids to have these opportunities, whatever field they choose to go into, so they can come back into our community and serve in that role, whether it's law enforcement, firefighting, the trades, medical, whatever it is, or if they're in aeronautics, they can live in our community and work at the nearest airport, wherever that is. So, I mean, these are all things that would help us reinvest in our community. And so the timeline there, we're right now moving into June. So the board's gonna have a meeting tomorrow to go over the results from the polling and help them get some more guidance on next steps. And that's really what I have for you. So any questions for me?
All right, council.
Sending Jessica a message right now. For later discussion.
So I'm going to ask, because I did sit on the cast, when after the bond,
Sure.
and it was not a good experience, because my honest opinion, and this hurts me to say, because I support education, it was really difficult financially. There were decisions made financially, like when I see how much is, done for King Murphy, and I know how much was spent on King Murphy before, that is stressful to me to see that we continue to have to put money into this. When I know how much money was spent before, and quite frankly, I didn't feel like it was, furniture should not have been an item over the roof. The roof should have been the bigger item, but I know the roof is still fault.
It's fixed. It's fixed last summer.
Okay, good. But in 2021, it could have been fixed.
You're right.
And it
Thank
was
you.
not.
You're
So my concern is, I know what I hear from the community. That was not a positive experience. So my concern for you guys is how do you address the community is not happy with what they've seen from the 2021 bond? And like I said, I hate to be that party pooper, but I want to be honest with you right from the get-go.
So again, that's part of how we were listening and why we propped up the long range planning committee so that they could really help inform us because.
I mean,
I mean,
honestly,
we're
I
not
was,
into
I
capital.
think you know, I'm one of the community members that was very unhappy with that.
Yes.
You know, so that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because, you know, I ran for the board because I didn't like the way things were going. So I understand wholeheartedly what you're saying, and I think we're doing our best to be very transparent, to listen, because I know, the cat was kind of like it had to be done type of thing, they, just to cover this.
Express.
Right, yes, I know. That's kind of when I came on board, and so I understand, and I think this group of this 5-member board and Wes are, it's a priority we wanna hear, and we want your input, and we wanna act on it, you know? That's why we have the long range and.
And as you know, as a minority member voting against the transportation.
Oh, I know, the
I
trend.
know, so
People are gonna die on that day.
that said, that there were a lot of things that we learned. You know, so I'm not here to
Yeah,
point
it doesn't
blame
matter.
or, you know,
Exactly.
all we can do is learn from that experience and make sure that we make, you know, ask the right questions before we put a shovel in the ground. So again, we tried to pull some of those community members together to help inform us so that we're making the very best decisions. We know that, you know, our design oversight groups in each of the buildings, need to be better selected. You know, that, you know, some other pieces were, maybe even partnerships that we chose, working with some other companies. That they, I know that there were some community members, educators and parents who were told by this person who was representing us, we weren't in those meetings, but this individual representing us told them that they didn't need to come to meetings anymore because they weren't aligning. Their job was to raise the questions. So again, I think we have done a lot of soul searching and digging. You're new, so, but yeah, we had a huge turnover
We are
on the board
diggers.
in 23 because of the last fund. So, you know that we heard the community, we've got new members, and that we are actively searching for the right voices to help inform us because, yeah, we know that there is so much that we, you know, the 5+ don't know. So.
Lisa, that was a really good question. I think that's probably a big one.
Well, it is, I mean, one thing I would suggest, just again, from my experience in the community, is that you provide regular updates. Here's how the
Yes.
money is, here's where it's being spent, here's where it's going, because I know that was also a challenge, was knowing where the money was going. I mean, people don't mind spending, I don't mind us spending money if it's well spent, but you gotta show me where it's going.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting a little tight on time.
Sorry, I
but
apologize.
No, I know that really, I think, was something very good to ask. I just want to try to, I don't want to rush anybody, but is there any other questions? All right, well, thank you very, very much. I am very
Thank you
glad
guys,
that
thank
you.
you for being willing to take
Sure,
whatever
came in, yes.
came your way. I appreciate that.
We're working with it.
But yeah, you all know
Oh.
our numbers.
Yep.
You know how to get a hold of us.
Thanks, guys.
Whether you like it or not.
Well, thank you again, and next up, we are gonna talk about Lions Club and CRC Park playground improvements. And I don't see anybody from Lions Club. Okay, all right.
I know a slide was put in.
I will just speak to this briefly. I went to the last Lions Club meeting, the end of last week over at Marion's. And I thanked our people, you know, particularly for the outside of the box kind of solutions. Willie finding a company that would plastic weld and giving it a chance. I really, I'm proud that they went down that road and thought of a very unique solution. Frankly, I think most municipalities would not have thought of that. And you know, if it gets us another year, then you know, I think that's great. I let them know that we do have some match money that is set aside, and I share in their frustration that we're, for example, spending about $2 million at one park, but we don't have the flexibility to say, I'm making it up, but spend $1.5 million at that park so we can spend $500,000 over here. You know, I wish we did have that flexibility, but we just simply don't. So I let them know that, you know, we've done something to get us by, but we're nowhere near done or putting that on the shelf. But we have some match money, would like to get something substantial done down there. And also, I thank them for what apparently is about 45 years of taking CRC Park under their wing. So that was really kind of them.
Completely, just 1 minute. So I know the train has been a conversation forever and ever and ever, and building the depot, which I think everybody has heard what I think about that, especially in our financial situation that we are in right now. Has anybody gone to the people that are housing our train right now and talked about maybe renting the train out for weddings or things like that we can generate some money, and that money could be allocated for parks,
Kid, I think
specifically
that's a great
playgrounds?
idea.
I mean, because I think that would be recreation to recreation. And we've invested as a community a lot of money into our playgrounds. I talk to Michael Horner all the time, but he's
Yeah.
no longer involved. So, you know, sort of like he goes up there and helps, but he's not there. And I'm not a train gal, so I'm not gonna rock anybody's world, but I do think that we have an opportunity to make some money off of our beautifully done train until that solution, and maybe that solution
I
never
think you're
comes to
right. I don't
fruition.
see why not. And we had an opportunity to rent. I think we rented a few different cars.
For that, for our
Right,
outing.
right, you know, and so why not get on an original one that was, it's original to our area, you know,
And see what we can work out with those guys to use it. Anyway, I think they're up for it from what Mike has said. I think it'd be a great
Oh.
opportunity.
They would love that. We've heard that from them
all
more than
right.
once.
Here, it could be in that space, which would be cool.
I know
Well,
it's just sitting there. We
well,
just spent millions of dollars on something
and,
just to sit.
and more to come on that. That is an excellent suggestion. There's no reason in the world why we don't look into that.
Okay,
Next up, I would like to move on to the other item, which is public and private parking requirements. Dylan, good to see you.
Very good, thanks for having me. I'd say if this goes a while, I can push the fifth item to my staff update section.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
Because that's.
Yeah.
So I was asked to look into a variety of the parking related issues, and I'd say really this report is like 5 mini reports that are kind of requests for direction, so. And some are more straightforward than others. So the first thing that I was requesting to look into is our parking use table in general, and specifically with respect to senior and affordable projects, but I also looked at some commercial uses. So, and I brought all of these planning commissions and a planning commission, let's like talk through these. We talked for over an hour on basically this report. So it's a big discussion. So anyway, the first one that came up was talking about senior housing developments. A lot of communities have different standards for senior housing than they do for just regular residential housing. And so when you look at what we have in town right now, Project Support has 8 parking spaces for 14 units. That's an average of 0.57 spaces per unit. The Mitchell White has 1 space per unit. Currently, I think they're being built today. They would be required on average 1.5 spaces per unit, and that's or they could go through a parking study and determine what the actual need is.
I think you pointed out in your report something really valuable. Like Project Support has served this community for decades. And it really hasn't been an issue. In fact, when they do have to move cars to restripe the parking lot, it is like a jumper cable party where they finally go out and move some of these vehicles that haven't been fired up in many months. You know, they seem to have more of an issue with like, where are we gonna park our van or something? And I think
That's
of
decidedly an issue.
Mitchell White, you know, even when you look at the visitor employee handicap, that was laid out at one unit, one space, and that's never been a problem.
Right. And I think that one was done pre-parking use sort of table, so sort of just assessing based on need. So the national average is about that 0.5 spaces per unit. Talking with planning commission, they said, well, if future projects are coming forward for senior housing, obviously we have one in mind, but there's a lot of need for senior housing, so it'll probably continue coming up. They said we should look into reducing that, possibly only to one space per unit, possibly even that lower.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for feedback on if that's something we should continue looking into, or if we really ought to require parking studies. That's a-
Council thoughts?
I think this one is on, come as it may situation, because obviously right now, we're not gonna go back and retroactively change these, and the one that we're talking about out there, we can determine, is it more necessary because they're not in town to have more adequate parking? Are we gonna have more, public transportation? Will that be more readily available? I think it's gonna be something that has to be determined when that project is on the table, ready for shovel-ready situation.
Sure. Is that fair to say from everyone? Because I think the feedback I'd be looking
You
for
want
is,
more?
do we just change it as a use by?
I mean, I don't have a problem doing that, actually, I'm just
I
saying,
think you can change for senior housing to one parking spot per unit.
but it's not gonna change these guys, is my point.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, right,
Right.
it would be going forward,
Yeah.
and we
It
learn.
just gives them a starting point.
Mhm.
It's different
Sure.
than,
And
For
as
the
a,
developer.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make it pencil better.
And
It makes a different
That's
cost
fine.
for people looking at developments. for senior
Still gonna go
housing.
to planning commission before it comes to council anyway, so.
Exactly, we could see also, it would give us a yardstick to measure by as far as,
Mhm.
then how much land area do we have for units?
Right, right.
So it would help us plan, is it gonna be 40 or 55?
Right, because you get more units with less parking, so the
Right.
parking's not needed, I'd rather have more seniors housed.
Yeah,
You have an opportunity to put parking below the buildings out there though. So, I mean, we've never talked about it, and I know that there's a height restriction in town, but they're not really a part of that use shed, so.
would everybody at this point be okay with one spot?
Yeah,
Mhm,
I would.
totally.
Okay,
well, and that's it leads into the second one, which was just affordable housing projects in general. And there was, so, pairing those together, there was a markedly different
I noticed.
response.
Yeah,
And
but
so-
we're also using a really weird comparison. Los Angeles County versus here. I mean, I really think that when we start comparing ourselves on any project across the board, we need to get as close to a town that is similar to us and use that consistently. Otherwise, we're cherry picking what we're trying to fit into a square hole with around.
if you live in Idaho Springs, you gotta have a car.
You gotta have a car.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the clear distinction is like, there's enough data in town to suggest that reducing parking for a senior housing development or
Yeah.
retrofit for senior housing or whatever
Right.
would not generate issues that we need to review with a parking study. However, when it comes to affordable housing, we should require the parking study. as a
Absolutely.
rule. And it seemed worth that discussion because affordable housing is very hard to build. And what first thing anyone ever asks to reduce is parking.
Yes.
But it's just a lot more difficult because especially when you're in the workforce, that commuting need is a lot different. So I think that's the same conclusion here that was at planning commission.
I would agree with what planning commission said, that because it's in such high demand, they prefer that we continue to require a parking study before we do elections.
Janine, your thoughts?
I don't think you need a car to live in Idaho Springs though.
Oh, well, actually,
How do
You could walk everywhere, you could take a bus.
But
to
you can't meet all your
Denver.
personal needs in Idaho Springs.
You can.
You can go shopping for clothes in Idaho Springs?
You can take the bus to Denver. It's coming through.
I think that you're, first of all, let me just place that
Oh,
the
oh, wait,
Hey,
wait,
Deb,
wait,
hold
wait,
on.
wait,
It's just a
wait.
progressive
No, no,
opinion.
I'm
I'm gonna concede your point.
But I wanna make another point. So do you know the demographic ratio of age in Idaho Springs?
Yeah.
I bet, so knowing that, you should know that that demographic is not accustomed to using public transport as on a daily basis. So that being said, until that ratio goes in the other way, you're gonna have a lot of pushback on that. Progressive idea.
I'm not claiming that that's.
Just,
where
I'm just saying
going.
that out loud.
I'm just saying that.
Okay,
What about all those
For-
Italians
for- okay,
walking up their
now
hills
for
like
the
they're in
record,
Europe?
They're
You are
insane, and they have much better health than I do.
a one vehicle
Household.
household, yes?
And I am
So,
not.
okay, all right, no, nor am I, and.
Well, we know, I look at
Yes,
all your
well, I
vehicles.
know, it's an excessive figure. Sharon, your thoughts?
I'm in the same boat where I don't think this is something we can really make a decision on until we know what is gonna be brought to our table for affordable housing and I understand, I agree with the senior, I think it's working just fine. But I really wanna see what it is that affordable housing is coming up with, because a lot of the people that are gonna need that affordable housing might not work here. And how are they gonna get to their job if they're like, oh, I can't park my car near my house, and how far up? Where's that affordable housing gonna be? Is it gonna be up one
So,
oh three? Is it
so
gonna be right
at least
town?
for now, I'm assuming you would be for leave it alone.
I'd be for leave it alone until we actually have
Okay.
an idea of
All right.
what we're working,
Okay.
what our goal is, how many people we need to satisfy,
Hmm.
make sure that they're taken care of.
Jeremy, your thoughts?
Private parking thing now,
Yeah, and so you still could adjust the parking based on that.
Yeah, but just having that study for that division, will make a big difference.
And I do think comparing it to LA or someplace where public transportation is a lot more accessible, I
Yeah.
think that's not, I don't think that's comparing apples and kiwis, that's not even like, that's like an onion and a banana. I don't feel like that works.
And you cannot substitute those in
No.
recipe.
And if Anthony was not willing to compare us to Denver, even
Oh,
though it's a
no.
much
No,
closer example,
no.
where they've
No,
only.
the
Well,
public
I mean,
transportation and everything they have going on down there.
Probably Evergreen would be comparable too. I don't know what their situation is. I mean, they don't have all the amenities that we have, river skiing and hiking and biking, but I don't think they have public transport that's any.
They have the Berkeley Park Park and Ride, but I don't know if they have anything other than
They
that.
got a
Yeah.
bus that you can call,
They've got the little green one that you can
but the
call.
little
I've
green
heard of
one,
that,
you know,
if
but the
you're
little green one
medical.
can, like, we have people that sit in our office for a couple of hours while they're waiting for little green to get there.
Mm,
Because they've got such a long list of people, I mean,
Yeah.
we need it,
Yeah,
but we don't have enough for it.
Gotcha.
yeah, and, so you have enough direction on that?
Yes, definitely. And so the last one with respect to the parking use table in general is, we've not updated it in quite some time.
Yeah.
And so there's a number of commercial uses that seem arbitrary. And so this wouldn't apply to any existing business. It would apply to future businesses.
But thank you, like rafting, that's crazy.
Yeah, for example, that's a good example because it seems very arbitrary, one parking space per 400 square feet of their floor
A
area.
rafting company could have 2 spaces, because they have 800 square feet of office.
I have a,
Right, and again, existing companies, we wouldn't be
I'm
proposed to
sitting next
change
to one of my
anything,
customers.
but what planning commission thought would be prudent would be to look into these things and for future businesses that come into town to address. We try to better capture their actual impact on the parking system. And so, rafting is an example I use, also like churches and auditoriums and things like that, but so I don't have any recommendations other than that we continue looking.
And we should, a flip side of that, I'm not gonna make a bunch of, an issue out of this. But one also that caught my eye was 5 parking spaces per 1 bowling lane. What in the world?
That's
So it would take like a quarter of the town to open up to ride a bowling. So anyways, I don't know what, we're not gonna have a bowling alley anytime soon. That would be my guess. I haven't seen that to be on people's top 10 list of record. But I did just, I'm sorry, I had to think that somebody had a typo. Maybe they meant 0.5 or something, but they definitely didn't mean 5.
Well, wasn't it, Sorry, we don't have time, but there was a bowling alley here.
Tommy
Tommy
Knockers.
Knockers was nine
Yeah.
kids, wasn't it? Yeah.
Did you have
Was Tommy Knockers nine?
bowlers on the lane?
Was it full size? 2 lanes?
Funny.
Okay, so we will continue looking into that and I'll work with like Nathan from JBA to try to kind of figure out industry standards for similar sized communities with access to similar public transit options and things like that.
Yeah.
So the bigger topic that took much longer to discuss was the topic of businesses establishing private parking lots.
Yes.
And there's two scenarios to talk through. And there's some perhaps reasonable examples and then extreme examples that probably would require more discussion that can't be done in 12 minutes. So basically there's two scenarios and the one is easier. If you're just establishing, we're going through this right now with someone on the east end, if you're establishing, you say, I want my primary use, I don't have a business otherwise, my business is parking, I'm gonna get a business license for parking. He said, well, that's not a primary use per our use table in the zoning requirements. You could get a conditional use and go through that process, and get approval that way or deny.
Yeah,
The planning commission was on board with that, and that seems,
it seems reasonable.
because then there's a review process for it, you're trying to make sure it's criteria for approval, which is like comprehensive plan, meaning the parking plan requirements, impact on neighbors and the like. And I think that's how our attorneys have said that that's how you do it if you don't otherwise have business use on site. But where it's more complicated, and as we all know, is when you have an existing business and then you establish parking, which you're required to do, and then you charge for that parking. Carmen and attorney's office have looked into that and said, we don't have anything in our code right now to prohibit that. You know, you have Safeway and you want to, Safeway wants to start charging free parking, so bikers don't park there anymore, fine. But then, and that's common in a lot of communities. Sort of clear, same with like the hardware stores.
So I want to just clarify what you're saying, and from what I read. So a business, somebody applies for a business license, they have a required amount of parking. Let's just say they have excess parking. They only need to have a business license. They do not need to prove that, in fact, that they are in business, that any money is being generated. No sales tax dollars is being required to be proven that there is a legitimate business on site. There are no employees on site, and these are all ways that we can track whether or not there's actually a business there. I have a problem with that, because while we are all elephant in the room, this one particular subject, if this happens on the east side of town and there's plenty of property that is large, but it is in a commercial residential area, it is going to greatly impact another neighborhood. If someone decides, I'm just gonna buy this $1 million property and I will, whatever it is, and I will accrue my losses over the course of maybe 8 years, but I will fundamentally change that entire environment on the east end of town. So I do think that there's something that we need to nip in the bud and maybe retroactively start tracking how that parking lot does not have a functional business.
Well, there is already somebody on the east end that doesn't want it attached to any business at all. They
Well,
just
and
have,
I'm sure.
And that'd be covered with the conditional use requirement.
But again, I do, and conditional uses are great until they become the norm. And then it becomes something that is a precedent that we have set, that any property can be turned into a public parking lot.
Right. Well, and that's, you know, I
I
was
mean, a
told let's-
private parking lot is what I meant, but you know what I mean.
Right, well, and that's where I was told, let's go to planning commission, get their thoughts first. And I was very I would say there's two separate scenarios, and the first one's definitely more reasonable than the second one. But they're both vetted by the attorneys, so I'm sort of messenger in some ways. But example one would be like, hey, I'm having issues where people are causing, you know, like parking here, I don't want to park here and I can't figure it out. So I'm just gonna charge everyone, and if they show me a receipt from my business,
It's free.
It's free. And, you know, Frank was said, no issues. Then I said, okay, we'll take it to the logical extreme. I put a little coffee cart in the middle and like get the business license, because that's used by right, and then they build bunch of parking spaces rather than start charging. Because that's what the attorneys have said they're allowed to do under our current code.
With a conditional use permit.
Without a condition, because you've established your primary business, and this is where I'm saying I want direction on if we should change this. Planning Commission said, actually, we're okay with that.
Planning Commission, I will say that out of the 7, none of them live anywhere that a public parking lot can be built.
Sure.
And so, as somebody sat on Planning Commission for 16 years, I have a really hard time with taking a very cavalier approach to how everybody else in town will have to deal with the public parking lot, whereas you live in a neighborhood that will absolutely never happen in. And I can't say that I know everybody that's on Planning Commission, but I know that most of them do not live in any place that is gonna be greatly affected. So
Right.
in this case, I think Planning Commission is losing their sight, and I think they're losing their vision, and I think they're losing touch with what is important in this town, personally speaking. But I've been feeling that for a long time, but I just knew that this subject was gonna be the reason I was gonna bring it up. Because I do believe we need more control over how our town is developed going forward. We are at maximum capacity with tourism right now. We're just had the school board telling us that we don't have enough young people coming to our school to offset the costs. So this is the time to protect our neighborhoods and defend, the rights of our 2 people to live in a town without it looking like a surface area. So I'm off my soapbox.
And what I might suggest is that we work with the attorneys to put together something that of like a proposed change that addresses this second scenario better. Rather than the scenario of like, oh, I'm gonna charge, but then get, like the hardware store saying, I'm gonna charge for parking, I have 8 spaces, I don't wanna be taken up, like. I think that's maybe less of an issue than the second example. that
The
I
planning
think-
commission has the right to do this. They have the right to dictate.
Well, they don't. They're only making recommendations.
Well, I know, but we make the law, but my point is that most of the time, you're supposed to follow what planning commission says. This is one of those times that I adamantly do not believe that they are thinking about the city's benefits.
I don't, when it comes to code amendments and policy decisions like this, I disagree that they really have to say. I think that policy decision should come from council. When it comes to like reading the criteria for a final development plan or rezoning, like they're tasked with reviewing it against the criteria that are in the code that have already been set by the council. Like they're not setting that policy. So I think my view on it.
I mean, maybe that's the way it is now, but that was not the way it was.
Well,
when
I
built.
think there's some leeway in previous years of the planning commission that maybe probably shouldn't exist in reality.
Oh, so I learned it all the wrong way?
No, I'm not saying at all. So I think the solution to this problem, what he's asking is, if we collectively feel that just having a business license shouldn't entitle you to do a paid parking lot, which I agree that it shouldn't. But it currently does under the community code, then kind of on us to change the community
All right,
code, which
I'm
would
with
be, talk to Carmen. And say,
And
okay,
how do we do it?
how would you propose making the changes so we're still in compliance? With the situation that if you want a paid parking lot of any variety, you have to go through a process. But that process is, I don't know, Carmen would better
Right.
explain that process than I'll be able to. But if that's where we want to go is, and I think that's probably a really good decision, because technically, I have a business license.
You could make a parking
I
lot.
can do it, I can charge people to park in my,
Driveway.
right? Because it's allowed right now,
Mhm.
and has been for a long time. Even though when I did my business license, I had to do average daily parking and stuff, I had to submit all that. Diane and I went through that. But I think it's an opportunity for us to change how it's written.
I
Right now,
think
it's
it's
currently
awesome.
completely allowed, and we don't, not only any of us like it,
I
that's what sucks.
know, well, no, absolutely, I'm 100% in agreement. I think where I'm coming from is from a planning commission day where we adamantly and vehemently had discussions about what we wanted that to look like. And then it came to council and council also had those conversations. I feel like, look, if I was on planning commission now, I'd be like, they're doing my job for me. And that's how, that I don't mind doing their job. In fact, I would prefer to do their job. So let's do it. Let's do the planning
So I think we
commission's
change the meeting
advisement.
code at our level, and planning commission works within the boundaries of the meeting code. Right,
And do you
that's,
think we had too much power back on the day with Bill Mayer?
I think things were allowed to come through, yes.
It's okay,
I love
I love
We're
Bill,
friends-
and
we've
by the
been
way,
friends for
Bill taught me everything I
40
know.
years, right, along that line. I think things went through the process that maybe shouldn't have historically.
It might have
There's
been
a lot of things, a lot
I'll
of
give you
examples we can get into, but from this conversation, we fix the muni code to reflect what it needs to reflect, which is the guardrail and planning commission's weighs their decision against. And if it's outside of the realm of what the muni code allows, of course, there's a process for that. I think we gotta put a process in place, which hasn't existed.
I think
Right.
it's,
And I
that
think
you got me, I'm 100% on board,
Well, I
let's
think
do it.
That would be direction from my perspective, is to pursue what the muni code change needs to look like. Make
For
sure we
Dylan.
don't cross any mystical legal lines doing it, but we make it as strong and as enforceable as we can with a process, which if you want to do something contrary to a process for that, which I think we have to do that. Everything we do, I think that's where I kind of stand looking at this whole.
And one thing I'm thinking of just to is maybe, and I'd have to vet this with the attorneys, but like I'm thinking of this extended stay logic. Like that applied retroactively with the licensing system.
What do you mean?
Like,
The
so,
parking requirement for extended stay was retro.
so like they said, in order
Oh.
to get an extended stay license, you have to get a license and you have to bring everything up to current standards for the code. I don't know if that works with parking, but let's say Carmen and Nick say, well, we can licensing system if you want to charge for parking at your business location. Something like that. Again, that's just like very brainstorming based on Jeremy.
Okay.
I think we're having the conversation with Carmen, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
That sets our guardrails, and we start developing improvements to this that prevents what has occurred. That's the other drawback is when we talk about this stuff, that it comes through the process that is allowed by muni code. They meet all the standards in muni code, we're kind of backed into a corner
We can't vote
respectively.
against it.
But we
Yeah, we
can
can. We
go
can-
into
we
the
can always
future and
take our-
retroactively.
We'll end up losing in the end,
Yes,
in
it will.
court, which will cost us money that we
But
probably.
what if we attach it to a business license?
So
What if we
that's-
attach that to a business
but as
license
it's
that?
written currently, it doesn't.
I know, but what I'm saying is that going forward, if
Yep.
you have to have a certain amount of days that you are open per year, because there's a couple places in town
Yeah.
that,
And
because
all of
they're
that can be-
seasonal,
Can be written into. this
Right, so we
change.
can
I think
change
this
it.
is an opportunity for
that's
us
all
to
I'm,
change
that's
a
all
whole
I'm
bunch
trying to
of
get on the
stuff to
record, that we
To
can
better
have,
match what I think everybody probably in the room would like to see the town look like.
yeah.
And I think that's where we figured what it was at the time of approval, whether we like it or don't like it, we're like, yeah, you're right, you meet the standard, okay, go forth. I
So-
hate it.
So for
we gotta
now,
change.
I got you.
we need some legal guidance. Carmen ought to have 50 examples. I mean, with the other municipalities you've worked.
May I ask one request? When we had this discussion, with our lawyer, I hope that we can do this in a work session. Because I do believe that this is important enough, parking in town is so important to everybody, that I think having it, I know that she would have to give us advisement.
I don't think that this would be an executive session.
Okay, good.
It's not receiving legal advice, it's her.
Like literally we're
Right.
creating law.
These are what you can do within the state statutes and the municipality. Here's your option.
That's all I'm asking.
So I think that's completely viable way to do it.
So I think what I'll do then, is I'll get with Carmen and Nick as soon as we can. Let's say this is the direction, and I'll bring it back to council for what kind of high level policy are we in the right direction? Then, again, this is my view of planning commissions versus elected officials, so maybe it's not 100%.
No, you're probably on the nose now.
Like the planning commission and planning staff, I guess, our goal is to advise based on best practices elsewhere and what's within the documents that have been approved. But like, I don't feel comfortable going to planning commission saying, hey, let's work on X code amendment unless it's in like a council work plan or something to that respect. And so that's an aside to this conversation, but like, I think Wednesday is the treat. And so it might be a good opportunity if you're saying, here's some goals we have for the next few years.
It's a good
I
idea.
have used those goals when I'm planning out what to talk to planning commission about. So
Awesome.
I try not to just do things with them.
You're the boss of them, Dylan. Remember that.
Well, you all are the boss of them. and-
We might be the boss of you.
Dylan,
You're the boss of
for,
them.
for now, you need any further guidance?
That's great. Yes, I have plenty of guidance. If there's other questions that come up with the attorneys, then we'll bring it back before.
All right,
we begin, and I can address the fifth item with.
Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that. We'll talk about that fifth item under your, heading. And we are a couple minutes, over. I'm gonna ask, for just a couple more. Lions, come on up. We had you on our schedule. And I would ask that it be brief. I'm afraid we're over on the work
That's
session.
fine.
but please.
Okay, and bringing everybody up to speed, Mayor Harmon came to the Idaho Springs Lions Club last meeting. Everybody is interested in helping in any way they can. And what came out of the discussion was rather interesting, but the idea seems to be a good one. That the Idaho Springs Lions Club approach perhaps some of the larger corporations in the area to get large matching funds for that, 141,000 that's sitting there in the lottery funds that has to be matched for it can be used. Henderson is a consideration. You know, if we have to do that, the tire surfacing again, maybe we need to, go to a tire.
Michelin.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to split hairs with you. The 141,000, it doesn't have to be matched.
It doesn't, I thought.
But please understand
It's not.
that if we spent it, then we wouldn't have a match when a grant came.
Of
So
course.
that's the
Okay.
only point I'm making.
Okay, but anyway, yes, and I'm willing to go forward with that. You had even mentioned that, you might have an accompanying letter to whatever we do, and I've kind of put a letter together, but I wonder if there are, say with Henderson, if there's a particular person, a group person to send a letter to, is that the way to be introduced, number one? And let's see.
I was thinking maybe Martin Marietta, they
Oh,
have
of course,
the
yeah.
Alfry quarry now.
Yeah,
And I would assume that they have a wing that helps communities.
I would assume so too. And I think the other mention was Coors. I mean,
Yes.
the water they use goes right by.
Yeah, the
this
Molson
place.
Coors.
So much stuff being
But
used, right?
anyway, that's the one consideration of something to do. We're so pleased that the city crew was able to take care of the two slides that needed to be taken care of. And Willie says that as soon as possible, he will be able to do some patching on that surface. He's patched it before, it needs a little bit, that'll just hold us over until we can get money and get things going.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you, Mary.
Well, Mary, thank you very much, and
Thank the
appreciate
Lions
you coming in
first.
too.
Yes.
The other thing, apparently some plans were put together, maybe 3 different plans.
Actually, that lady right behind you, Carla spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
She's all the
She is,
plans.
She is a really good resource
So we want to hook up with.
for CRC Park redos.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good, and I really think that takes
All right,
care
well,
of it.
thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Everybody, please take 5 for a comfort break, and we'll get rolling here about 7:10.
We're all doing the same thing. Which one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. He's a.
Thank you. Yep.
So,
I mean, it's really good data. I think the mindset was
yeah. We used to have AC here in town, which was nice, and then went corporate and I picked the bucket.
Andy, since you're over there, anybody signed up? Oh, okay.
Oh, you could sign it. You sign up there if you want to make public comment.
Is it, just general or not something that's on the agenda?
Now I'm very, I was like, oh, this is Shannon's place. Now we're not doing it.
So you are on for Saturday night.
Oh, and what's the topic?
You know what, all I know is I was I know nothing else.
Okay, so that is, she asked me months ago, so we're going on Friday to see it. But we're not taking.
The zoning is, so it's, we have two separate ones, annexing, another zoning. So the zoning is a public hearing.
It's not even that, I'm not gonna walk to Red Rocks and buy an $18 bottle of wine. Just not gonna do that, like, it's. I have gone with the days of Reed Phillips and Black Bay. Yeah, the whole thing.
Guy, did you see Jeremy out there? Okay, thank you.
No, seriously, and then you have to walk like 4 miles to get it.
So they can still.
You know, the cool thing about when you take a limo to Red Rocks, they drop you off right at the top.
Yeah.
I totally think taking a higher car.
We have hired cars before to go there, but I'm just not. It days me, like, getting.
What happens up on that side is important.
Shocker.
Sure. It's just, it's a Paul Simon concert, for God's sake, what are you gonna do?
Okay, that actually looks
Hallucinate.
fantastic.
So I know, I love Paul Simon, I know all the songs, but is
Outside.
that gonna be,
With my dad at the Pepsi.
that would be awesome.
So Red Rocks would have been better.
Yeah.
I saw pictures there.
I just hope the sun sets before 8 o'clock, so like, I will melt, not die.
It'll go down.
I know, on the behind. My first concert was George Thorogood at Red Rocks here in Colorado. And the moon came up like over the horizon like it sometimes does when it's really huge and in orange. It's amazing.
Turn on the light. Oh, you can, sure. Yeah, I'm gonna ask to collect those for those who, fill
I
them
just
out.
made notes, Chuck, mine wasn't really your.
Okay, and
Mine was
that's okay,
just-
and that's okay.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm gonna enter it and just, I'm gonna compile it, and just be in one report. Thank you very much.
No, no.
Oh, and I understand, that's why I was saying, you know, it's completely optional.
That's right.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, thank you.
This is for non.
John Denver.
Jimmy, you're on.
Yeah, I know.
I was trying to work.
My kid's first.
I didn't expect it to be actually fillable.
Yeah.
He's actually. Yeah, I've heard.
Well, and
No, he's
I
great.
told you, I
My
have
first
the
concert
exact
was
same
David
affliction,
Bowie,
I have all
Cap
the
Center.
penmanship of the third grader, and I'm not, you know.
You'll never know what I was.
And, you know, I've known that was a sore spot all these years, and I have not,
I like him.
I haven't been able to prove it.
I know, and
Oh,
it's kind
wow.
of like not.
Nice.
So, I feel like I'm doing stuff like, I was doing an intake with family members, and I'm like,
So
I'm so sorry.
I love it.
You know,
I
like,
mean,
like, I don't think that this is your actual.
He's hot.
No. I think so.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I've asked him to sign off. I'm like,
And
sign
Shaka
off on
Khan.
this.
Yeah, that's probably my best function.
Wow. I don't know that I
You
can
know who was
actually say
amazing?
that. Which my dad's
Something Floyd at RFK.
I tripped the lack of that. My first concert was lame then. I was the Doobie Brothers. Stupid.
I saw, didn't I see John Mellencamp, Kings to Blue one year? My book got arrested for it was a sad affair. That's a lot of money to do. Thanks. No, I used to be in that. It's a thing. Yeah, it's not like this.
On the phone, but I think he's coming.
Okay, yeah. Hello, I would like to welcome everybody to the June 8th, 2026 regular council meeting for the city of Idaho Springs. We'll call it to order at 7:14. And I'd like to start off with roll call, please.
Sharon Bassett.
Here.
Janine Mariani.
Here.
Kate Collier. Here. Lisa Manifold. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Here.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Here. All please rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We have an agenda before us tonight. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda of June 8th, 2026.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sharon. And any discussion of the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does anyone tonight feel they have a conflict of interest? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to approval of the minutes, and do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 26, 2026.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Was that you, Kate?
It was.
Okay. Second from Kate, and any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have bills before us tonight. Do I have a motion?
I'm going to approve the bills through June 8th, 2026.
Thank you, Kate. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Jeremy. And any discussion of the bills?
May I ask?
Yes.
The bills, when I look at the grand totals, that's kind of low for us.
Yeah, it
Do we have things that are coming that we should be aware of? I mean, that's not our normal 4 week, like, that's low for us. Are there bills that are headed our way?
I would, Andy, isn't a fair statement. We have asked that all really unnecessary spending that, as in not necessary this quarter, be postponed.
Yes.
Okay.
That might be part of it.
We are in a position where we are going to own a police station free and clear without taking on a rather large multi-million-dollar mortgage, like most communities probably would have done. But it is taking a significant effort to pay that off. So that would be the reasoning behind it. It Any other questions about the bills? Yeah, sure.
I have a question. The Trulio Inc. AI, they're paying 3,600 for, and reading Wonder's report where she didn't feel like that the AI really helped with the minutes taking and that kind of situationship with using it. I'm just kind of wondering what we're using it for. I noticed that we have like AI generated flyers and that kind of thing, but then we're asking people to conserve water, but then we're doing AI and that uses a bunch of water. And even though I know that the data center isn't here in Clear Creek, that's still water that's being spent somewhere that I just feel like it's counterproductive when we're like, hey, restrict your water usage, but I'm gonna put out an AI thing that used a bunch of water to create this. And so I'm just wondering if this is something that we're gonna continue to do. I know this goes through, it's about 10 weeks, it goes through August. And I'm just wondering if this is something that's gonna be something that we're paying for, if we're thinking about this, if we're, what's going on?
Chief?
Sure. So this was something that we purchased before you were on council.
Okay,
So Trulio is being used by the police department
okay,
and it does a number of things. So it analyzes every second of body cam footage that we don't have the ability to have sergeants do. So every second of body camera footage is analyzed. It also, it's analyzing to see if there was force that was used, or if a gun was pulled, or if a taser was pointed at somebody. It's also analyzing and telling us people do really good things when they de-escalate situations. I get a report every week when I come to work on Monday mornings that generates and tells us if people have de-escalated, when they've done it, and you can automatically click right into the incident. It has also a software that we use to write our police reports. So that's what that specifically is. It doesn't have anything to do with
that's not AI.
Wonder. It's a police use
Okay.
AI. So I understand what you're talking about. If it's something we need to revisit, then obviously I would just need time to prepare for that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm with Sharon. I mean, if not, obviously not today, you've got enough on your plate,
Yeah.
maybe in the future, depending on our water situation. I kind of am pulling away from the AI movement myself, so, yeah.
I do have a question, Chief. Is some of the radio, does this encompass the different languages that are used in your radio and your handheld cameras?
That also uses AI, but that's not through Trulio, that's through Axon, which is a different type of AI, but that's also an example. that was
But that's
just
actually part of our
recently posted.
Axon package.
That's part of the Axon package. And in our world where we're, you know, we want to make sure people are held accountable and that there's somebody, we have all this footage out there. This has been something that's been really a very powerful tool for such a small agency that lacks some of the resources that maybe some of the bigger departments have. So.
All right, any other questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sharon Sis,
Yes.
Janine Mariani,
Yes.
Kate Collier,
Yes.
Lisa Manifold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Hey, next up, public comment. Dylan, do we have anybody online?
There's nobody online.
All right, well, I would like to start off with Heather and David. Please come on up.
It's just Heather, if I need David's extra
Of
3
course.
minutes, I'll take it.
Of
So
course.
we had to redo our pre-litigation notice based on Dylan's information that was in the packet, so I have new information that supersedes that.
Can you just?
Yes, my name is Heather Campbell, 1521 Colorado Boulevard.
Thank you.
Okay, I swear to tell the whole truth. Okay, so this supersedes the pre-litigation document, so for public records, please put that in the public records.
Thank you.
So I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. Basically, I've just incorporated what Dylan was telling us this evening, that obviously he put in there that we are the example of your parking issue. So our home has been sacrificed now for 340 days. And yeah, we live it every single day to live next to a 20 parking spot, commercial parking lots. In and out, traffic, it's a disaster in our neighborhood. So obviously, it needs to be fixed right away. We do appreciate your offer to build a 7-foot fence at your expense, which was the originally required by the original terms for them to open the parking lot. I really not sure why you're even saying you should pay for it, but it was always their responsibility. We appreciate that. We have made some counter arguments in there because obviously we're not going to sign away our rights to put in a fence that was required to begin with. So there's obviously the legal things that are in that fence agreement are completely ridiculous. So we've amended those. We're still open to getting this resolved as soon as possible. As everybody knows, it only requires, according to Andy and apparently everybody else, you're only required to have a business license to run a 20-spot commercial parking lot. Nobody lives in the house. There's no gift shop. There never was. You can look in the window. It's completely empty. It's always been illegitimate. It's never been operational. And yet there's a 20-spot commercial parking lot right next to our house where we used to have trees and beautiful residential homes. So yeah, I wouldn't wish it on any of you. None of you would ever let it happen in your neighborhood next to your home. Please fix it. You sacrificed us for 340 days. Is that 6 or 3?
That was 3.
Okay. So also, it has no legal basis to being open. It doesn't have a CUP. You have a property that's put in for a CUP. You also have in your minutes that they have proposed to do something at the property. I don't know where that is, what that is, but we should definitely be, we think, involved in that. What else? So yeah, we're at the end of our rope with this parking lot. We either fix it and we fix it quickly, or we don't have any other choice. We will protect our property. We will protect the residential property. Is value of our property is gone. Nobody wants to live next. We can't sell it. Nobody wants to live next to a commercial parking lot. So there's still the runoff issues that I've documented. Those have not even been addressed. We're not giving up our rights to get those resolved. So that continues to be an issue. Should have never been paid that way. Everybody knows that. I'm not going to rehash that. Again, there were so many issues that have been overlooked. They're ongoing and they have to be fixed, or we don't have any other choice to move in a direction to protect ourselves, our retirement, our property, our sanity. Our private sanctity is all gone because of an unpermitted commercial parking lot. That's all it is. All it ever has been. from the get-go, and everybody knows that, 100%. We've been here enough times, we've documented it again and again thoroughly. So we don't really, there shouldn't be a discussion on that. It's all in the core documents, they're all facts. So.
All right, well, thank you. Did, we don't have anybody, signed up?
Mayor, there is a comment during the public hearing later.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. All right, well, if there's nobody online, that will conclude, public comment. We will, move on to, second reading, with the ordinance number 8. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 8, series 2026, an ordinance annexing to the city of Idaho Springs certain unincorporated lands. Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Certain unincorporated lands located in section 31, township 3 south, range 72 west of the 6th principal meridian, and section 25, township 3 south, range 73 west of the 6th principal meridian in Clear Creek County, Colorado, to be known as the VCAM annexation of the city of Idaho Springs.
Thank you, Janine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Kate. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Sharon Basis. Yes. Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes.
Okay.
And next up, we're gonna have a, public hearing. This will be, public hearing on ordinance number 9, series 2026. The next agenda item is a public hearing ordinance 9, series 2026, an ordinance zoning approximately 23.36 acres located in section 31, township 3 south, range 72 west of the 6th principal meridian, and section 25, township 3 south, range 73 west of the 6th principal meridian. Clear Creek County, known as, in part as the Virginia Canyon Mountain, Park or VCMP annexation to the city of Idaho Springs as planned development, PD. State law requires a formal public hearing on this proposed zoning. We will require public testimony to be given under oath. We will not follow any formal rules of evidence. If there is a question about the admissibility of evidence or testimony, I'll make the ruling on that. The order of the hearing will be as follows. I'll invite city staff to give a presentation. I will invite public comment. Any questions from council may be asked and discussed. I will close the hearing. I will ask council for a motion on the ordinance. Any questions before we begin the process? All right. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 9, series 2026. City staff, please start us off, and I am going to note the time here at 7:30.
Hello, council, for the record, Dylan Graves, community development planner. This application for zoning is for the approximately 23 acres of land that were acquired as part of the land exchange between the city and the Young Ranch that was approved by city residents, which was on the ballot back in November of 2024. The request is to zone them into the existing Virginia Canyon Mountain Park Argo plan development. And based on how they would be incorporated in the plan development, it would be in use zone 3, which would be a parks and recreation and open space zone that doesn't allow for.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'll speak up.
I heard the Parks and Recs, but now what came after that?
Sure, just so it's this use zone 3 there's 3 use zones in the mountain park. These will all be zoned into use zone 3, which is parks, recreation, and open space. So wouldn't be development of commercial uses on those spaces. This application went to Plan Commission on May 7th, where they recommended approval with no conditions unanimously. Public notice was sent out prior to this meeting with a sign posted on the property in a location visible from right of way. Mailing notice mailed to properties within a 300-foot radius of the subject properties, and notice was posted in the paper. Criteria for zoning, there's 7 of these, which are discussed in the packet. Staff believe that this rezoning meets those 7 criteria, and I'm happy to discuss any of those further. With that in mind, planning staff reviewing this application recommend approval to bring these parcels into the planned development zoning. And again, they'd be into use zone 3 of that planned development. So, and happy to take any questions.
All right, council?
What else is in use zone 3?
So use zone 3 is basically everything the city owns that doesn't have a easement for like gondola operations. So it's the bulk of the 472 acres of the park. So all the trails, with the exception of the very bottom and top, where they connect to the right of way on Virginia or Riverside, and at the top, that's all use zone 3.
And what's VCAM's plan for this 23 acres?
There's no concrete plans at the moment. The master plan that was approved as an addendum, I think it was in 2024 or 2025, showed potential future development of trails in that vicinity. But kind of separately from this, I think that should be revisited with some of the goals for hiking trails and
Thank you. Thanks. And this is kind of a part of it, but it's not quite the same. But if it's okay, I ask. You did go on a hike. I think you and Andy went on with other residents, and I got a report back from my husband, who was very, very thrilled about the hike because he didn't think anybody would use it other than him.
Well,
So that's just an aside on what Comba has proposed to take the hiking out of V Camp and move it elsewhere. So I just want to make that on the record.
right, and that area, just for reference, doesn't have any master plan contemplation at the moment, so that's another reason to dig back into that master plan.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So is that your recommendation that we look back into the master plan? Because we didn't make a firm master plan when we talked about this before.
I would say yes. The primary reason for the land exchange was to create a more natural geographic boundary for the park. Gilson Gulch, which is a natural barrier, prior to the voter approved land exchange, I'd say there was about 20 acres that the city owned east of that gulch, and the same amount that the Young Ranch owned west of that gulch. So essentially what this land exchange did, and then subsequent zoning annexation, is to make everything west of the gulch Mountain Park and everything east of the gulch, or including the access road, Young Ranch property.
Yeah, it's just a more natural alignment with the gulch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
that makes
so,
sense.
so that was the primary reason for it the whole time. 23 acres in the grand scheme of 470 plus acres is not going to substantially increase the feasibility of hiking trails or other recreation opportunities there. Other than maybe in small cases, if you can add a switchback or something closer to the gulch.
She's tidying up the boundaries.
All right, any further questions for Dylan? Hearing none, Dylan, thank you, although we may call upon you before the end of the hearing. I would like to invite public comment. Please come on up. It's good to see you.
Hi there. I'm Donna Kirkwood,
Can you please state your address for the record?
2801 Riverside Drive. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, I am the very first, wait, property, one second, I'm sorry.
Can you please, yes, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll try to be truthful, kind.
as hard as it is, truthfully. We are the very first property as you head east from Being Kind, Gondola, from all of that stuff. We are the first property you hit. That means that all the traffic, if you ever open that road, please God, do not open Riverside again. If you do, please give us speed bumps, because it was horrific before when people would speed through there. They do now, but then they have to slam on the brakes and turn around and go back. So it affects us directly and personally. The other way it directs me, and I got just one quick question, because I took a picture of the sign that's posted at Gilson and Riverside Drive. It says this is ordinance 13. And I think you're calling it 9. I don't think I care, but I'm a little, I don't get it, because I just took my notes from the picture that I had of that. But it was the exact same legal description, because I wrote it down and I compared it as it was mentioned. So that's just a question. But the other thing I would like to do is present my input. When it's being presented for just parks and recreation, can that be changed? Down the road, in the past, they have talked about hotels, large subdivisions, and all those other things. Please tell me this is not a first step in the door for later.
we can answer that
altering to
question,
allow
can't
that
we?
development.
Yeah, and that's an easy one. Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you.
This, we are actually restricted. That has to be a public benefit, not a private for-profit venture.
Thank you, I appreciate that. My next comment would just be a little feedback. I don't know where your husband hiked.
Everywhere.
No, I'm saying when you were saying he was happy about the trail.
Oh, he's happy because no one else will be there with him.
Which trail?
Well, they did a little exploratory hike west of Virginia Canyon. It's very extreme.
Okay, so I personally, because I'm a quarter mile from that spot, I used to walk the Virginia Canyon Trail every weekend. From the first year you opened it, and we'd go up and we'd see which flowers were in it, what animals we saw different. Then it got open to bicycles, where I would be getting off the trail 60 times in 1 hour to allow a bike to go by. So I was out to hike, but I was continually waiting for them to go by. And no, it didn't make me happy. Since then, it got even more delightful. If anyone here ever hiked the Virginia Canyon Mountain Trail prior to putting in the bike extravaganza, there were trees, there were rocks, there were animals, there were flowers. There were weeds too, they were great. It got clear cut. You go up there, it's clear cut. So you're on this dirty, dusty trail, looking at this bare ground with all these trees cut, and you have a view of concrete pads. The bikers don't care. They have the challenge to ride to the top and then fly down. They're not looking at trees, birds, plants, and flowers. So major loss to me. I have people that want to hike that with me, and I just say, I'm not going up again. I took pictures. I showed you how bad it is. It's been clear cut for those bikes, and I guess also for Argo. So no, I won't hike there again. That's been taken from me, and I pay my taxes up here and this will be my 16th year. So I mind that. I'll go elsewhere. I now walk on the trek bike hill for a little while. It's not as nice, it's not pleasant, but I'm gonna ask you, don't further. I know you need the money from the bikers. I also know they don't spend a tremendous amount. I know I pay my taxes. I try to shop up here, even though your property tax, your local tax is the highest in any of the communities I'm in. We're in the Safeway every weekend. I'm in the downtown stores at least once a month, supporting those businesses because I want them to survive. We try to find a restaurant we feel like we can go to. So I try to contribute to this community. I don't really like that all the attention and effort has been put on satisfying bikers that don't come up. They don't have an investment in this community. They may spend a little for parking now. I like that. Thank you for doing that. I very much appreciate it. But really, I'm here spending every weekend and choosing to try to contribute. So please don't put me last and do more for Argo and the bikers. Because if it looks like that, excuse me, that crap that's up there now, I won't hike it. And you are Kate?
I'm Kate Collier, yes, I'm kind of in your neighborhood, so actually 4 of your council people live in Sunnyside, so
Yeah.
we do understand.
Well, I'm number 1 for what comes down. Very first. So, thank you.
So is Jeremy, he's on the other side.
On the other side, but that's what we're talking about.
I know.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that will conclude the public comments portion. And council, before I close the hearing, I just want to give an opportunity if anybody has any further questions for particularly after what was discussed. All right, well then, hearing nothing further, I will close the hearing at 7:42. And I'll ask council for a motion on the ordinance.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 9, series 2026, an ordinance zoning approximately 23.36 acres located in section 31, township 3 south, range 72 west of the 6th principal meridian, and section 25, township 3 south, range 73 west of the 6th principal meridian, Clear Creek County, Colorado, and known as part as V Camp annexation to the city of Idaho Springs as planned development.
Thank you, Kate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lisa. And anything further?
It's a little bit off, well, it's a little bit off topic, but I think that I would like it noted in our record that we come back and discuss this master plan. We've been sort of batting this idea around for a while about the continued plan development of what happens in the park. This is our park. It's that simple. It's our park. And some of us have very strong opinions on what needs to happen going forward. I'm all for, I'm with, our resident. I want more hiking. I totally understand what she's saying. So I know it's a little bit off topic, but because it was brought up in our city planners session, I really want to strongly, no further development happen until we discuss further hiking trails, because that's 23 acres that puts us on the west side of Gilson Gulch, where we can allow hikers to be protected from bikers and vice versa, honestly.
Okay, anything further on this ordinance? Here, oh, yes.
Can I do a point of clarification on that ordinance discrepancy? This was originally scheduled in 2025. And so when I did the public notice, it had a 2025 ordinance number.
Yeah.
And then the attorneys said, hey, switch that to the 2026 ordinance number.
So, yeah.
And then
That changed the number.
yeah, so that was the change.
That's why it says 13 right
Yeah,
there.
because
The only sign that's there.
right, well, right, yeah, and so then I guess, forgot to go out and
Change the
update
sign.
the ordinance on the sign.
And Dylan, thank you. That was an
Got a lot of signs
unresolved question
No
from
worries, thank you.
I
this hearing.
figured it was worth clarifying that.
Thanks,
Just a
Dylan.
Thanks,
point.
Dylan.
All right. Well then, hearing nothing further, roll call, please.
Sharon Basist.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Tim Jeremy Jones. Mayor Chuck Hunt.
Yes. We do not have our city attorney with us tonight. City administrator, Andy, we have your report. Just wanted to make sure you didn't have anything further to share.
Just a reminder of the city council retreat, this Wednesday, we'll gather.
Yeah,
at
8:30.
Tommy Knocker around 8:30, we'll probably get started at 9, but there will be some refreshments there to start out and we gather. Lunch will be, provided, so we'll be ordering off the menu for, working lunch. And we should be done by 4:30.
All right. Oh, very good. Guy, do you have anything further to share with us tonight?
I do, I'm kind of in the middle of several projects, but nothing to report right now.
All right, well, thank you. And Dylan, thank you for your report, very detailed. And I'm gonna request that we entertain the Clear Creek Trail Intergovernmental Agreement.
I'll come up just so I'm visible on camera, I guess. Basically, so I've been working on sitting on this Clear Creek Trail Collaborative for the last maybe 2 years. And we've kind of just informally been meeting. It's all however many agencies, I think 16 agencies that have been working together who all have some sort of interest on the trail. And we get together and we talk about issues that relate to the trail and standards and signage. For example, this brand book in the packet is one of the projects that they put together so that as people improve that full trail system that goes all the way from Commerce City to eventually Loveland ski area, it's all consistent, so it can be more of a regional draw. So because we've all been just working informally, we want to formalize that continued collaboration so that someone in the future doesn't just drop out and completely stop maintaining their section of the trail. So what this IGA and my request for direction, I guess, would be welcoming me to bring it back as an action item at a future meeting and answering any questions would be, there's no financial commitment, you know, they could say, hey, we want to do this project, and we could say, we can't help fund that. It really just commits us to keep working on all those issues that affect the whole corridor. And as we can have, you know, like Jefferson County is right now spending about $1 million a mile building their stretch of trail that goes from Golden up. There's about a 7-mile gap there, but they already have plans in place to finish that gap. And so eventually we'll have a paved rec path system that we could ride all the way to Commerce City on without being in traffic for more than a quarter month. So that's the point of this item, is just formalizing that commitment to keep working together on the trail.
Yeah, Dylan, I have to say, just personally, I don't see a downside. I mean, if we're not, they're not holding any municipalities' feet to the fire, financially speaking.
Right.
So I would think we would all want a voice at the table as far as coordinating our efforts and, getting the best. I'll give you an example, just like uniform signage, for example. That's an easy one, right? Or minimum widths.
Right. Right. And ways of managing e-bike use, for
Yeah.
example, or striping or something like that. And there's already quite a lot of different standards. Most of Clear Creek County is just a shoulder of the road right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of Commerce or like Wheat Ridge and going east is only 8 foot wide. Our entire stretch, with the exception of the Riverside where you share the road for half a mile, is all 10 foot. So it's just a way of, over time, turning it into kind of one cohesive thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions? I'm sorry, Dylan, do you still have more to, okay, you're open for questions. All right, any questions for Dylan?
I do have a question. With the 16 agencies, is there anyone who looks like they would not want to sign the IGA?
I don't think so. Everyone's senior leadership and its legal staff have reviewed it, and they've given everyone from the 16 agencies. If there was anyone who would be the hardest to get a signature from, it's probably CDOT, just because of the bureaucracy involved in that. But Jefferson County, Clear Creek, and a couple of the other smaller towns are taking it to their boards this month for action.
All right. Did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
Nothing else.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate
Would you
the,
need to give him direction or?
I would say.
Oh, I don't-
Direction, it's complete the idea and bring it to.
Yeah.
Perfect, work out that one.
I would anticipate it'll be the next meeting.
Yeah, I think it'll be,
Right, for the 22nd.
they finalized it, everyone's attorneys have already fully vetted it, so unless there was any, I guess, final comments as we started presenting it to boards, they said, like, I think it's good to go from a legal standpoint. So we'll probably have it as an action item for June, sorry, 20th.
And our attorney's okay with it.
Right.
all right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Dylan.
And next up, Wonder, thank you for your staff report. Very interesting, our statistics lag behind a couple of months. And of course, that was a month with like no very reduced skiing and almost no snow, you know, so. I did see we were down 9.6 for that month, which is the most I can remember in years that we've been down. And we're down like 2.5% for the year. Hopefully now that reverses in these coming months, but will lag behind 2 months. So, you know, I would think that May's numbers ought to look a little bit better. Wonder, did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
No, Mayor, thanks.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. And Chief, never a dull moment. I'd like to say thank you for your report. Very interesting. Did you have anything further for us?
No, Mayor, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you.
Chuck, I actually totally spaced something.
Sure.
I remember we had this conversation about like, you know, coming out of the bank and like not being able to see past the food truck and that whole conversation. And that does happen all throughout town. I was just wondering, the bank might not be the biggest place, but is there any way that we could ask the guy just to move over one spot? Would that be a problem, Wonder?
I mean, they're pre-approved spaces, so I guess that's up to, well,
We
you know, to
could
say
take
like,
action to back it up a space, for example.
I mean, I think you.
Allow
I'm saying
that.
it's just residential parking. Obviously, you can't tell everybody what to do, but this is something that we have allowed, so maybe just back it up one. And I just thought about this last week.
And really, the reason it's in that spot is right next to it is that space you cannot park where people can safely stand.
Right.
So if you move it, then
Now
that's
they're
a
gonna be
car, then
in
they're
two
blocking the
spots.
sidewalk and you have bikes, so there was some
There was some
strategic
thought, okay, good.
to that, so that's all.
I mean, that actually does make sense,
That's
so.
all.
Well, good question. Hey, Ed, I just wanted to check in and see if you had anything further to share.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I didn't turn in a staff report out of town last week. Shame on me.
Ed took a week off. Thank
I
you.
did.
Thank God, good for you.
There's plenty more weeks I had.
And Ed, you actually went to the garden spot of the United States, didn't you?
New Jersey?
Kansas,
Oh,
Yes, yes.
right. I saw lots of corn and cows.
Sunflowers? No, they're not very good.
Very good.
So,
Gotta put a plug in for our neighbors to the east.
but I can tell you that everything that was going on the week before is still rolling.
Thank you.
The roofing repair stuff at the wastewater plant, the awning is complete.
Good.
The little shed roof is done at the water plant. I got a call today that we're gonna see a very significant reduction in the Comcast bill at the wastewater
Nice.
plant.
Wow,
You know how excessive
that is
that
great.
was.
Yes,
Yeah.
about $2,400 a month.
Yeah,
For
and
real.
we may be seeing some refund checks as well.
Oh, good. Were they
Get 'em,
dis-
Ed.
Asking you shall receive.
Get them.
Yeah.
Are we being like, were they billing us?
Yes, they were messing that up a little.
Oh, I can't wait for you to
Good
read that
job.
number back. That'll be something fun.
Yeah,
Get it some champagne.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
maybe
that.
some Dr. Pepper.
I'm
I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Whatever your bubbly of choice is.
Very good. Anything further?
Well, it's my first day back, so I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
I don't really feel very worky.
Well.
Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
But you're not standing with your finger in a hole anywhere, so
Yeah,
that's a
that's
good
good,
thing.
yeah.
No.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, under mayor and council, I have a couple of items. And one, the generosity that is exhibited by the people that live here and the businesses here, I really want to mention. You know, we had another very successful city cleanup day.
Yes.
Once again, Doyle subsidizes heavily our dumpster use. The cleanup, the river cleanup was, what surprised me, it was really successful and it was a cold, wet day. And those folks, those guides and other people that work in the rafting industry showed up in droves. And, you know, I'm just really taken with the effort, both with our people, the generosity of of not only the rafting community, but Doyle's as well.
Yeah, we had 4 community groups clean up Idaho Springs. So the Q House had a group, Mountain Youth Network, COMBA, and then another just community member organized a group, and they split up Idaho Springs and all tackled an area.
Thank you. Yes, prime example of what I'm talking about.
Well, let's
So
also look at the Lions. You know, you
yes.
guys saw the Lions and they said, great, let's get involved.
Yes, and the Lions had taken Searcy Park under their wing for like at least 45 years. And anyways, I did thank them for all the literally decades of effort maintaining that park. And I'm sure there's several agencies and groups that I'm forgetting, but I just wanted to highlight what a generous community we have. And hey, also, if anyone would like to drop off any city administrator evaluation, you can either leave it in my box, you can drop it off at my house. I don't care as long as it gets to me. I'm going to compile it in one report, and you will all be given a copy in 2 weeks. It's Andy and I will go over it, and understandably, it goes in his personnel file. And this is something that we have never shared, nor should we. We don't share administrative items with the public, so but you will be given a copy so that you know everybody's comments and what you would like to have added are in there. And before I adjourn, I want to just go around and see if anybody has anything further for the good of the order. All right. Hearing nothing, we'll adjourn at 7:59. Thank you, everybody.
Are you gonna really get there?
I'm gonna see.